Welcome to Egg Hunt 2015, an egg hunt unlike any sort of Roblox Easter event that preceded it. Being akin to more recent at the time at least, seasonal events, Egg Hunt 2015 had a handful of developer-made games to be the star of the event, as opposed to an original Egg Hunt place like 2012's Egg Hunt, 2013's, and 2014's. What is with the sudden change-up of style, and how does it compare to previous Egg Hunts? And also, how well does the developer-first format work with the Egg Hunt? Let's find out, but before we do, let us indulge in the history of the conception of this event by going all the way back to the year of our Lord 2015. Let's do this. You are an independent video game developer who just got the opportunity, along with two other developers just like you, for the game you've poured blood, sweat, and tears into to be featured in the latest Egg Hunt event, which are arguably the prestige of Roblox events. Naturally, this offer is swiftly accepted by you, but as you accept the offer, you can't help but inquire, aren't Egg Hunts supposed to be original? Why is Roblox contacting you for your game to be featured in their Egg Hunt events, which they usually run? This just seems like every other sponsored or seasonal event that Roblox pumps out. So while yeah, you are quite honored for this opportunity, you can't help but be confused as well. Unfortunately though, you won't have much time to inquire about all of this, as you've got only 1 month to include Egg Hunt integration into your game, and Roblox won't be giving you egg assets for a whole 2 weeks. So, get started. Yep, all of that supposedly happened. Let's get back to the current age and discuss a couple of things about this upcoming event in retrospect. As stated before, this Egg Hunt was unlike any sort of Easter event that preceded it. Seeing how, as opposed to an original Egg Hunt place that housed a batch of eggs like 2013, or being a site-wide event spanning in every game on the platform like with the first 2 egg drop events, this Egg Hunt employed a style that was more so akin to recent events pertaining to holidays. This was seen by how the event had pre-existing developer-made games that all encased the egg objectives. Egg Hunt 2015 featured the games Super Bomb Survival, Twisted Murderer, and Ripple Minigames. And this event lasted exactly 2 weeks. This event had 22 eggs in total, with some eggs being more exclusive than others. A batch of eggs within this event could be obtained in all 3 games, a couple could only be obtained in 2, and the majority of unique eggs were exclusive to the game they were in. Man, this 22 eggs in 3 games format, as opposed to the typical handful of games with a small number of prizes in proportion to the amount of games in the event sort of format, having more objectives or prizes to displace in multiple games makes it seem like these developers can fully fulfill their creative vision for a mini egg hunt in their games, all with a bigger sense of scope as opposed to being limited to like 2 prizes or something. The developers really weren't limited to only a couple of prizes to be integrated into their games, so because of that fact, I think this will be really quite fun. It is worth noting that before we start, that there was no sort of hub game for this egg hunt, and therefore there wasn't exactly an easily accessible egg list for this event. You could have bought this gigantic tome of eggs gear that would keep track of which eggs from the event you currently possess, completely free of charge, minus the fact that it was 15 Robux. Okay. I just thought about this whilst editing this part, so sorry if this is a little disruptive, but imagine if this event had a hub game that teleports to the 3 games in the event, having an egg list you can easily see, perhaps with even like a leaderboard of how many eggs have been collected so far in the event, maybe even having statistics pertaining to which eggs have been collected the least and most amount, and maybe even having some hub prizes mixed in there as well. I know all of that isn't feasible for this event since it was made in like a month, but having a cool little hub akin to the one in Winter Games 2014 or whatever would have been nice. I don't know, I just thought that'd be a cool addition to add to the review. I'm not a dev, so all that could be garbage, but whatever. Back to the video. Now, the biggest issue, obviously, crafting a video about this event is that it kind of ended 7 years ago. So by that reason, we're going to have to play a fan reboot. Huge thanks to Cuber Clumsy, Colby3292, Reversed Array, Guest is Just Best, Strange Eggs, Conline 15, Crazy Blocks 234, Alex, RBLX Player, and One Huge Nub for preserving this 7-year-old Roblox event that is very anti-existing right now. People who reboot old events like this really don't get enough credit for preservation's sake. I will be reviewing the rebooted game as if it were playing the actual event, and I will also pretend that missing features nor differences between the reboot and the actual event are not present in the rebooted game. I will be sprinkling in reminders for the remainder of this video that this is technically a review of the reboots, even if the design philosophies and the actual games themselves featured in this reboot were made by Ripple, Polyhex, and Tailmaster. Anyhow, let's get into our first... Here is Super Bomb Survival. Not even half a year later, after Blox giving 2014, Super Bomb Survival is chosen yet again to be a part of Roblox's seasonal events. The way in which the eggs are implemented within this game actually ties into the gameplay loop of this game, and coincidentally harkens back to the first 2 egg drop events. Every egg that is to be collected can only be acquired within the actual rounds of this game, which means that Super Bomb Survival has eggs that fall from the sky along with the bombs. This requires traversing the maps filled with hazardous explosives, all while trying to get silly Roblox accessories, which, considering how difficult and frantic this game is actually quite fun. Allocating your time correctly and using different skills to try and maneuver around explosives as the map crumbles beneath you and lava gets displaced everywhere on the map works really well with this egg drop-esque format. The origins of egg hunt stem all the way back to 2008, where eggs would sporadically drop from the sky, somewhat akin to how this game displaces all the eggs. An official Roblox blog post pertaining to Egg Hunt 2015 also mentions this similarity as well, so perhaps this design choice was deliberate, or it was just a really convenient coincidence. So yeah, the event integration for this game is really well executed. Even if the event integration isn't too transformative, I still think it's really good, as I can see how this integration at the very least does a decent job at satisfying people that regularly play Super Bomb Survival and those who are just playing the game for the eggs. Keep in mind, I am once again playing a reboot, and once again, my experience would have been a bit different if I were actually playing this game with a populated server when this event was actually active, full of people taking my freaking eggs away from me, possibly making them a bit harder to get. Plus, with some of the missing features in the reboot, like customizable perks and skills, in which said skills can be upgraded to make certain egg objectives possibly more easier, not to mention in-round events and maps not featured in the reboot, could also make some egg objectives possibly a bit different when it comes to difficulty. So with all of that in mind, take everything I say regarding the egg objectives with a bit of scrutiny. Let's get into the egg objectives. Eggmageddon. This egg has a rather uncommon chance of spawning when a nuke drops down and reaches contact with the ground. It spawns pretty high up in both the reboot and when this event was active, and in a feature you can't access instead of reboot, this would mean you would have to upgrade, like, say, your jump perk, for example, to nab the egg easily if it spawned in an inconvenient spot. Or maybe, possibly, you could have done this. Just press F, press F, press F, press F! You got it! Man, we are so moderately competent at this game. Wow. I personally think this egg is an excellent representation of good event integration with prizes. Since the egg can spawn at quite a high altitude, you need to think critically and actually utilize the game's mechanics and environment to find out ways to acquire this egg in a timely manner. What skills should I use to reliably get this egg? Should I platform my way up to the egg, play the game a bit more to upgrade my jump skill, maybe even dash to it? You may think in even more advanced ways, like what parts of the disheveled environment can be convenient to get this egg and what perks can I use to accompany my skills. Questions like this make you think critically about the game's mechanics and how you can utilize them to accomplish a task, that being getting a floating prize or an egg, which you normally wouldn't think about too much if you weren't playing an event. Although this egg only spawned once per round, or sometimes it didn't spawn at all, which I don't really like. Wow, I talked about that for a long time. Let's just move on, please. Egg of Golden Riches. This egg spawns when one of these money bags explode. The egg itself actually gives you credits, which is Super Bomb Survival's in-game currency. I like how it gives you currency alongside the egg. That's actually pretty nice. It makes it to where there's an incentive for both event players and normal Super Bomb Survival players to catch this one. I like it. Super Bomb Egg. A bomb that functions as an egg but will refrain from exploding if collected. Simple, easy to understand, and ties into Super Bomb Survival's gameplay seamlessly. Lovely objective. Fun fact, by the way, this egg is still in Super Bomb Survival to this day, although you cannot acquire it as an accessory anymore. Scrambling Egg of Teleporting. This egg spawns randomly and teleports around the map. Pretty decent objective, I guess. I mean, this kind of reminds me of the egg drop events with the simple objective, so it's okay. Last Egg Standing. This egg spawns during the last 30 seconds of a round. According to this comment, this egg only had a spawn rate of roughly 8%. But the spawn rate could be boosted up to 75% if you were the last one standing within a round. I don't know how true that is, and I definitely can't test that in the reboot right now, so let's just assume that's not true. Man, maybe it was true because only 27,000 people got this one. Whoa, that's even less than Eggmageddon. Regardless, I like the concept of this egg, but I don't really know if egg objectives should be tethered to time limits like this. Although it does make sense because Super Bomb Survival is a timed, round-based game. At least the egg emits sparkles, making it very discernible when you inevitably get this egg to spawn. Those are all of the Super Bomb Survival exclusive eggs. Now, let's go over the eggs that spawn in multiple games as opposed to just one. Beehive Egg of Infinite Stings. This egg is displaced randomly around the map, and in order to acquire it, you have to avoid the bees surrounding the egg. If the bees caused an instant death, this would probably be the most agitating objective, but they still dealt a lot of damage when this event came along, so that's kind of annoying.
Bee! Egg.
However, though, I think the concept of this egg is actually quite charming. Like, it's just a bunch of bees daring you to touch their beehive, which just so happens to be the egg. Thundering egg of lightning skies. Like the previous egg, this one can hurt you. And also akin to the previous egg, quite annoying. And this is accentuated by the absurd range this egg has. Racing egg of fast cars. This one randomly spawns and when approached tries to drift off. The egg doesn't drive off obliviously fast or anything, so it's fair. Plus, this game has tons of crevices and displaced parts, creating ample opportunity for you to just corner this thing. Sharing egg of gifting. Randomly spawns and when it's picked up, you yourself must give it to somebody else in the server, for you yourself cannot collect this egg, you must only receive it in order to achieve it. I just like how this is an egg you can only give, and one that others can only receive. A complete inverse of the typical egg collection format. I love this one. Overall, Super Bomb Survival was not too bad, all things considered. The eggs were, for the most part, implemented decently well, and also fit the gameplay of Super Bomb Survival honestly quite seamlessly. The event integration found in this game is probably the best you can get with a game like this. Even if the event integration isn't too transformative and is verging on play the game exactly as per usual to get the eggs, there are still really cool ways that core parts of Super Bomb Survival are being utilized in order to make eggs more challenging to get. So yeah, this was pretty good if I do say so myself. There's no special egg hunt round you have to wait for, and the way that some of the eggs are implemented makes them stand on their own as just fun new content for Super Bomb Survival. Also, side note, the Splosion Man soundtrack that was used in Super Bomb Survival when this event was active, but was later replaced with original music, man, it just fits so well with this game, and it's so jazzy, and it's so good. Thank you, Rebooters, for preserving this part of Super Bomb Survival that you can't access anymore. This was actually really fun. It gets a good out of 10 from me. Let's move on. Moving along, here is Twisted Murderer, a relic from the era of Gary's Mod-inspired murder games, and actually not the first one to be featured within a Roblox event.
I'm gonna be honest, I really don't care for this game. However, though, I'm pretty interested to see how event integration is going to be implemented into a murder game.
So I am really looking forward to this one. Although I don't know how fit it is for an egg hunt. The maps in this game seem pretty enclosed, which because of that fact seems like it would be hard to hide eggs within them. And unlike the previous game, this one has a huge emphasis on PvP. I mean, like, it's kind of the point of the game, to be fair. PvP-centered games typically have the weakest objectives out of any type of Roblox event, well, in my opinion at least. Waiting for specific rounds, teaming, and only getting the prize at arbitrary spawn rates are negative attributes I personally associate with PvP-centered games being an event. And unfortunately, those negative attributes can apply to the Twisted Murderer section of this event. Even though this reboot doesn't have active servers like it did with the actual event, I still felt a little irked, I guess, by some of these objectives. Anyways, let's start getting the eggs. The Mad Egg. You get this automatically by winning a round of Murder Madness, which is a specific game mode within Twisted Murderer where everybody has a knife. You don't really physically collect this egg like the other ones, you just sort of get it. Come on, man, at least make me physically touch the egg or something, or at least give me a pop-up that says I got it. You really just played this game exactly as per usual to get this one, which isn't too good as I believe a balanced mix between the typical gameplay of a game and a bit of egg hunt creativity while accounting for people playing your game for the game itself and those playing your game for just the event makes a fun egg objective that could garner new players through introducing the core gameplay into the objective. Billy the Egg. This one spawns when one kills another in a special round by the name of Sheriff Showdown. Again, you essentially have to play the game normally without any variation to the gameplay loop to make this event integration special, so it's just kinda okay. To be fair, the eggs in Super Bomb Survival are also very closely tied to the gameplay loop, kind of akin to Twisted Murderer, but at least that game made the eggs fit in a seamless manner with the gameplay and has subsequently generated a bit of challenge. Like actual genuine challenge that is spawned from trying to traverse through the map with all the explosives. Egg of Innocence. This one is acquired by killing an innocent player, or a player that doesn't have any weapons. A little uninspired of an objective, yes, but I like how considering how plentiful innocents are, you have numerous chances to get this egg. Although I don't really know what the rarity of this egg was back in the day, and I even encountered it when I killed a murderer. Fancy Egg of Fabulous. This one actually has a unique objective. In order to achieve this egg, you must play the following ID on the public radio found within the lobby. When the ID is put in and you press play on the radio, the container that encases the egg will dissipate and you will subsequently be able to achieve it. Let's give a listen to the music you have to play in order to achieve this egg. Oh, I didn't expect that. A PewDiePie song from 2014 produced by Rumi Official. Well, if they're gonna be that subtle with the YouTuber reference, they may as well made you bro-fist the egg out of its container. This is a creative objective that utilizes an aspect of lobby uniquely. Although, if you don't like PewDiePie, you should probably just mute your game. Phantom of the Egg. You need to specifically kill a specific player, that being the murderer, on a specific map, and after killing him or her, there is a specific chance that the egg will spawn. Honestly, pretty good objective. I really like how this egg only occurs in specific rounds and is only eligible to get on a specific map featured in a murder game with tens of other maps. And when the egg drops, it has an absurd spawn rate, and when you do get the fabled chance to get this egg, there are other people in the round trying to cop it too. And plus, you are probably already dead by the time this egg spawns, because some incredibly rich Robloxian killed everybody in the map already with his or her epic pay-to-win knife. I don't think I need to get into why this egg objective isn't great. There's just too many stipulations as to when and where you can get this egg and how common it is. If I was in charge of this event, I would have toned down the stipulations for this egg just a bit, okay? Thankfully, this egg was nerfed in the reboot, which I appreciate how the rebooters made this one a bit more accessible.
Because the objective beforehand was redonkulous.
And those were all the exclusive eggs for Twisted Murderer. Onto the inclusive eggs. Hipster Egg of Retro. Wear a hat on your avatar from 2008 or earlier in order to grab the egg. The cheapest item I could find from 2008 or earlier that was eligible to purchase for free during this event was the Ninja Mask of Light for 80 ticks. Which means if you logged on to Roblox for at least 8 days, you should be able to get this egg pretty easily. I like this one's concept. Utilizing a part of your avatar, which should be universal amongst these 3 games, is a cool way to make sure that every game can have this egg in it. Bird Egg. Ground the levitating egg as it sheepishly floats towards you, whilst avoiding this egg's eggs. Yeah, for some reason this egg spawns egg. I don't know. This one may be a bit annoying in Super Bomb Survival and Twisted Murderer since there's an egg splat obstructing your view when you get hit by an egg from the bird egg, and especially because these 2 games in particular are very frantic with their rounds. So yes, those are all of the eggs in Twisted Murderer. The pre-existing concept of eggs either being collected via indulging in specific secretive objectives or just sporadically finding randomly spawned eggs aren't really here in this segment. And man, the game exclusive eggs for this segment in specific really just boiled down to different variations of the same objective. Kill people. And also get lucky while you kill people. Taymaster, the developer of this game, stated on Twitter that he didn't want to make a map extension for this game due to the fact that he would ruin the fun for normal and avid Twisted Murderer players. So because the fact he didn't want to add that, I can understand why this event integration came out the way it did. Taymaster could have like surreptitiously hidden eggs in the maps or made eggs rain from the sky or something, but even in concept, those 2 types to execute egg integration sounds weird. Plus, eggs falling from the sky works a lot better in Super Bomb Survival anyways, because that game is already focused on stuff falling from the sky, and I just really don't know how else you would integrate eggs into this game because Twisted Murder is a pretty straightforward game. I still don't find this segment awful. I presume a lot of the pain from trying to get this egg in the reboot was alleviated a bit with the lesser active servers in the reboot, and at least the fancy Egg of Fabulous was pretty fun to get. Still probably could use some work though. So much for no map extensions. And speaking of map extensions, lastly, here is Ripple Minigames. This, to my knowledge, is typically the highlight of this event for most people, as the minigames themselves are not really necessary to get all of the eggs within Ripple Minigames. In fact, the event integration that Ripple Minigames brings is more so akin to single-gamed egg hunts, having a large map with randomly spawning eggs, think of Egg Hunt 2012 or 2013, but obviously with a lot fewer eggs. I'm pretty sure that Ripple himself was initially going to displace the eggs within the minigames themselves, but upon hearing the copious amounts of people complaining that this event was going to be developer-based, he decided to give the people what they wanted by crafting a more so traditional egg hunt. The only egg that requires one to play the minigames in order to achieve is the leftover egg of whatever's left, which randomly spawns around the map when a minigame is over. But besides that, you basically can just turn on hunting mode, and you won't even have to worry about the minigames. While this is a pretty poor showcase of Ripple minigames from a developer standpoint, since it doesn't really introduce the gameplay loop which could incentivize me to continue playing Ripple minigames, I don't really care, and plus, I'm here to review how fun this was, not how marketable it was. And because of my player-based viewpoint, I must say that Ripple minigames is not a bad segment at all. There is a vast map that has been added to Ripple Minigames lobby, having a square area around the map that contains locations such as this massive tree, these houses, this tower, these mountains, this cave, this waterfall, and this castle. This map is a little too big for the limited quantity of eggs present during this segment, as there is a lot of walking necessary to complete this segment, all without a way to increase your speed. The building is decent though, not anything too special, but I really like the bright colors and the blocky architecture of this map. This may look a little archaic nowadays, but back in 2015, this was probably pretty good. And also, given the fact that Ripple Minigames completed this map in a week, I really just called the developer by his own game. And also, given the fact that Ripple completed this map in a week, honestly, he could have done worse. So good job. Ripple would go on to make similar extensions that housed objectives for prizes and other developer-based events, like Blocktober 2015 and Summer Camp 2015. This was his style for event integration for a bit, and it's just such a cool way to integrate objectives in my opinion. I mean, it obviously works a lot better with the egg hunt with more prizes to give out, but I seriously applaud Ripple for going out of his way to craft these sprawling maps to have his game be a fraction of events. Now, onto the eggs. Cloud Egg. Climb up these little platforms in the hub, climb above the minigame area, and achieve the egg as it randomly appears. Really unlikely, but still unique utilization of some of the space within this game. Being above everything gives this objective a really adventurous feeling where you can see everything in the map below your feet. This view right here makes it feel like $1 million. Explosive Bomb Egg. This one randomly spawns all over the map, and is to be collected when the egg is black. Yet another simple objective that reminds me of the initial egg drop events. Now, what if you touch the egg while it's red? Well, if you do this, you will get the Cracked Egg, which spawns when a player gets killed by a bomb. A little secretive and ties into another objective. Pretty cool. Egg of Golden Achievement. In order to get this egg, you must find a crown somewhere within the map and traverse through this mountain to forward the crown back to the golden egg. Once again, simple objective, and I like how you just don't find this one randomly. You have to specifically make an effort to get the crown and then give it to the golden egg. And for the last time, onto the universal eggs. The open vastness of this map, plus the game being somewhat independent from rounds, makes getting all the universal eggs in Ripple Minigames so much more different. All the universal eggs are here, and yes, while they act the same, the more open map plus the way that certain objectives now have more specific objectives makes them so much more unique and fresh compared to how they were implemented in previous games. The racing egg of fast cars has more room to dash and whatnot and is thus more harder. The bird egg is a bit easier when you're not worried about getting bombed or murdered, and the hipster egg of retro now has its own little designated area. Anyways, Beehive Egg of Infinite Stings. Climb up one of the vines on the tree in order to get up said tree, and once you've reached your destination, avoid the bees to get the egg. A little less annoying here as opposed to Super Bomb Survival, as it's your initiative to go out of your way to get this egg. You can't accidentally get killed by the bees unless you specifically go up this tree, so I prefer this objective over Super Bomb Survival. To be fair though, only real ones get this egg like this. Thundering Egg of Lightning Skies. Well, I mean, we got the last egg by utilizing a flag, which can also take you to this egg, which is on top of the tower. Again, a little bit more fun in this game as opposed to Super Bomb Survival. And finally, the egg of all eggs, the admin egg. The admin egg has been a staple of Roblox egg hunts, and I am proud to say that Egg Hunt 2015 started the tradition.
Okay, so I think what you had to do was, like, you had to somehow join an admin in, like, a VIP server, or you had to watch Roblox's Twitch stream where admins were giving out the egg live.
IDK. Or if you're playing the fan reboot, you could pay for this gear, which gives you an admin egg launcher.
Honestly, the people behind this reboot deserve the monetary compensation for they poured their time into this near immaculate preservation of this 7-year-old Roblox event.
Man, this segment of the event was actually pretty great. The map was varied, had a handful of unique objectives despite having a limited quantity of eggs, and the objectives themselves were decently unique. Integrating the eggs into the minigames themselves would have just been okay in my opinion, but Ripple took the extra effort to craft a mini egg hunt that is more so akin to traditional egg hunts with a limited quantity of eggs and a strict time limit. And the outcome was actually quite specialized and unique. Good job. I commend you, Ripple. We have just finished deducing the quality of the egg objectives. Now, let's deduce the quality of the eggs themselves, or at least the design of them. I've never personally been a big fan of the eggs within this egg hunt visually. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are still definitely some creative ideas for eggs, such as an egg acting as a car, an egg acting as a bird, an egg acting as a beehive, and an egg acting as a phantom. But I've always felt that behind these creative ideas were rather lackluster designs that were a bit bland or had odd texturing and sometimes even reused pre-existing assets. events. Let's see, that is a retexture of the Egg of Frost. That uses the old default Roblox skybox. That is just the 2008 visor. And the hair on Phantom of the Eggs looks eerily similar to the hairpiece known as Big Style Brown Hair. However, with all that being said, there are actually quite a bit of eggs featured in this event that are actually quite nice in my opinion. Such as Billy the Egg. Such a cute little design. Plus the Cloud Egg. Yeah, this egg is pretty lazy from a design aspect, but I've always really liked this one because of the incredibly pleasant and heavenly texture that is used for the egg. I also really like the sharing egg of gifting, egg of golden achievement, and especially the Avan egg. Besides those handful of eggs, not a huge fan of the batch of eggs in this event, sorry. And we're done. I don't know how I talked about that for 7 pages long. To conclude, I personally didn't think that Egg Hunt 2015 was as bad as certain people made it out to be. Having multiple developer-based games having 10 or more eggs as opposed to being limited to only a couple prizes, as seen in other seasonal events released at the time of 2015 and 2014, made it to where developers had more room to expand their creative Egg Hunt integration vision, even if some games integrated the eggs better than others. It definitely wasn't amazing, and I still think that Egg Hunts 2012 and 2013 that preceded this are way better than this event. But honestly, I would be lying if I said I didn't have fun playing this event. And considering how the 3 games featured in this event aren't too hard to learn for newcomers, makes the Dev Hunt format work a lot better in my opinion for this event in specific. The egg objectives were, for the most part, pretty straightforward, and the event integration for Super Bomb Survival and Ripple Minigames worked really well, in their own special ways of course. Although Twist of Murder was just okay and felt really forced with the event integration. And it's really cool how active updates are for the reboot of this game. I seriously cannot thank these guys enough for preserving this event in such a passionate way. For the Dev Hunt format being so flawed in my opinion, I would say this event was actually... Cries, please don't dye my hair red. Too late, I did.